we already know. So we know that a y-intercept is where the graph of a line intersects the y-axis, the vertical axis. So if we look back at some graphs, right? If I had a graph, the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So what's the x-intercept? Where it crosses the x-axis. So X and Y intercepts. An intercept is where it crosses that designated axis. So if given a graph, or when given a graph, it's pretty easy to identify and locate the X and Y intercepts because it's where the line intersects each axis. It's where the line intersects each axis. Now, that line sometimes is going to intersect at a whole number and make our lives a little bit easier. And sometimes it might intersect at a fraction where you just have to do some estimating, right? But you still are going to just count. Now the hard part about this is that an intersect, right, is an ordered pair. So the x-intercept needs to be written x comma 0. If it intersects at -5 on the x-axis, the ordered pair would be -5 comma 0. And the y-intercept would be 0 comma y. So it's written as an ordered pair because it's on a graph. And every point on a graph, every location is an ordered pair. It's an x value and a y value. The intercept is just the x value. The x-intercept is the x crossing and the y value 0 because you go over 5 and up 0 and that's on the x-axis. Or the y-intercept would be over 0 and up or down, making your y-intercept. So it's an ordered pair. It's not just a number. So it's pretty easy when you're given a graph, right? You just count. What's harder is when you're given an equation. So when you're given an equation, you substitute 0 for x and simplify, solve, right? You substitute 0 for x. If you substitute 0, if your 0 value goes in for x, what are you solving for?
Y.
Yeah, if your 0 value is x, you're going to find your y-intercept. And then you repeat it. You substitute 0 for y and simplify, solve to get your x-intercept. So you may be given the equation in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, or this new way of writing things, it might be written in standard form. In standard form is ax plus by equals c. Ax plus by equals c. It's when x and y are on the same side. It's when x and y are on the same side. So again, no matter what your equation looks like, if they give you an equation and they say find the intercepts, you substitute 0 for x and get an answer. Substitute 0 for y. You have to substitute 0 twice. And substituting 0 is actually really easy, because when you substitute 0 in for a number, what happens? It just disappears, right? If you're given a graph and they say find the intercepts, you just count. You find where it crosses each spot. So, for example, if I gave you this equation, 3x plus 4y equals 12, and we say find the intercepts, we have to substitute twice. The first time we substitute, I'm going to put 0 in for x. So 3 times 0 plus 4y equals 12. And 3 times 0 is 0. So I'm left with 4y equals 12. Divide by 4, y equals 3. So what's my answer? My answer is not y equals 3. My answer is an ordered pair of 0 for x and 3 for y. Then I'm going to substitute again, this time using 0 for y. Right, first time 0 goes in for x, second time 0 goes in for y, making 3x plus 4 times 0 equals 12. Leaving me with 3x equals 12, because 4 times 0 is 0. Divide by 3, x equals 4. What's my answer for this one? 4, 0. 4 is my x value, 0 is my y value. These are my intercepts. If I was going to graph this, I totally could. I could take a graph and I could put an ordered pair at 0, 3 over 0 up 3. And I could put a dot at 4, 0, meaning over 4 up 0, and I could connect them, and there's my line. When given a graph, it's where the line intersects each axis. So if we look back, this green line that I did, the y-intercept would be 0, -8, right? And my x-intercept, I'd have to estimate. I'd have to do some estimation, because it's going to be a fraction, because it's not perfect. But I could say maybe that's 2.6 0. If I was looking at this orange line, my y-intercept would be 0, 6, and my x-intercept would be -7, 0. I mean, it's really easy when you're given a graph, right? You just have to count. If you're given just an equation, you have to apply some algebra to it. So let's practice our algebra skills. I'm going to give you 5 problems. You can work on them independently or as a group. Here are your practice problems. For these two, I want you to find the x and the y-intercept. So you're going to find both. For number 1, 2x minus 5y equals 10. You're going to have 2 solutions for number 1. You're going to have 2 solutions for number 2. Oops, that's not good. So for problem number 1, find the x and the y-intercepts. I'm going to substitute 0 twice, correct? I'm going to substitute 0 for x the first time. I'm going to substitute 0 for y the second time. So 2 times 0 minus 5y equals 10. 2 times 0 cancels out, leaving me with negative 5y equals 10. Y equals what? Negative 2. So my answer is 0, negative 2. That is my y-intercept. I would go up 0 or over 0, down 2, put a dot. 0, negative 2. My second intercept, I'm going to substitute 0 for y this time. That cancels out, leaving me with 2x equals 10. What's my x-intercept? 5. So my answer is an ordered pair, 5, 0. Those are my intercepts. If I wanted to graph, I could graph this. I'd go over 0, down 2, put a dot, and I'd go over 5, up 0, and put a dot, and connect them. Is this, can you visualize this graph? Does it have a positive or a negative slope?
Negative.
Visualize. Where's 0, negative 2?
Positive.
And 5, 0. So between my 2 fingers, is it going up to the right or down to the right?
Up to the right.
Up to the right, so it has a positive slope. Number 2, you could substitute the way that it is right now. I recommend getting x and y on the same side, putting it in standard form because it makes life a little bit easier. But you could substitute the way that it is now, and it's just going to take a few more steps. So why not get the steps out of the way right now? Can you rewrite this so that x and y are on the same side? Can you rewrite this so that x and y are on the same side? Jacob?
Yes.
What do?
You put the 3y on the other side.
Yeah, I'm going to take positive 3y and move it to negative 3y. 15 equals 8x minus 3y. Now life's just a little bit easier. Has anyone seen a shortcut that you could do without substituting 0? Like taking the time to write in a 0? Because when you substitute 0, Ellie, what happens? It just goes away. If it's written in standard form, I can just do 15 equals 8x, because this is just going to disappear when I put 0 in for it. Or I can do 15 equals negative 3y, because this is going to disappear when I put... Now, it only works if it's in standard form. You can't do it that way if it's not in standard form. But if your problem is in standard form, ax plus by equals c, x and y are on the same side, you can just split it in half. What's my x value? 15 divided by 8. 1.875. Making my ordered pair 1.875, comma 0. And what's my y value? Negative 5. Making my ordered pair 0 for x, negative 5 for y. All right, try these last 3 on your own. Find just the x-intercept for this guy. Just the x-intercept for this one. That didn't really show up. Find just the y-intercept here. And then we'll go back, number 5, find both. Find the x-intercept for number 3. Find the y-intercept for number 2. Find both for number 5. It's kind of counterintuitive. To find the x-intercept, x has to stay, right? Meaning you get rid of y to find your x. To find your x-intercept, you have to get rid of the y. X must stay. To find your y-intercept, you have to get rid of the x. The y has to stay. X-intercept, this is going to cancel out, right? Because I'm going to put 0 in for y, leaving me with 9x equals 27. What's your x value? 3. So what's your intercept? 3, 0. To find your y-intercept, your x is going to disappear, and I can do that because I'm written in standard form. If it's not written in standard form, either fix it or it's going to take a little bit more work. Negative 2y equals 32. What's my y value? Negative 16, making my intercept 0, comma, negative 16. Number 5. Find both the x and the y intercept. Well, to find the x-intercept, that means my y has to disappear. Correct? To find the x-intercept, my y disappears. So if my y disappears, what am I left with? 0 equals 72, and that's false. So what do you know about it? This line is going to not have one, right? There is no x-intercept. Why is there no x-intercept? What kind of line has no x-intercept? It's a horizontal line. To find my y-intercept, my x disappears. All right, well, done. What's my y value? 18. What's my ordered pair?
0, 18.
And what kind of line is this? It's horizontal, correct? What would a vertical one look like?
0 equals 72, and then something x equals whatever the number is.
Correct. X equals our vertical lines. Y equals, only y equals, right? Our horizontal